Jorge, I feel like my old self. Not that I didn't like the rainbow look, but I mean, that's a lot of makeup on one face. I don't care who you are. Hey, hi dolls, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with the Fingerdoo review of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars All Winners Edition, Season 7, episode. It's a lot to say. It's a lot to say. All-Stars 7, Episode 8. But before we get started, I got some tipper-doos to thank. Jennifer Valier dropped off another tipper-doo for me and another donation to the Rainbow Railroad. Thank you so much, Jennifer. You're a doll. If you'd like to help support my channel with a tipper-doo or donate to a fabulous charity like Rainbow Railroad, the links are in the description box down below. Okay, Jorge, drink me! Oh, look at this. It's drippy. Why is it drippy? You have no finesse. But you're heavy-handed with the tequila, and I'm okay with that. All right, so let's get started. This episode kicked off with Trinity crowing about finally getting 2 legendary legend stars, saying she's the Hollywood Walk of Fame with all of her legendary legend stars. Go on, walk all over her. Of course, her crowing diminished a touch when everyone congratulated Jada on her 3rd legendary legend star. Cue the Hollywood Walk of Fame face crack. Blessed. I like how Jada tried to deflect the attention off her and onto Shay by pointing out that if Shay hadn't blocked Trinity on episode 1, Trinity would have 3 stars now too. Go on, Jada. Watch, she's gonna win it all. Speaking of being blocked, the latest inductee to the Blocked Queens Club, Evie, entered the workroom and wasted no time planting herself next to Trinity on the sofa and waiting for an explanation. Trinity made a lot of sense. It was down to her or Jada because they both had 2 legendary legend stars and no blocks. But Jada was safe. Hell, even Evie couldn't argue with that. Not that she tried. Trinity surprised me by admitting that she thought about blocking Jinx. Seriously, Trinity? If there's one thing we've learned about Jinx Monsoon this season, it's that she holds a grudge, at least where that plunger is concerned. Same goes to Monet laughing about the idea of Jinx getting blocked. Again, Jinx could block her in a hot minute if Monet was any kind of threat. Speaking of Monet, it was quickly becoming obvious to the queens that there were only 4 challenges left, and seeing how Jada already had 3 legendary legend stars, Monet would have to make top 2 for all 4 remaining challenges to make it to the finale. Needless to say, she was starting to worry. She wasn't alone. The next day in the workroom, Ru showed up with this week's Maxi challenge. The queens would be bringing to life the characters of this comedy murder mystery Mean Girls romp, Santa's School for Girls. And no, comedy murder mystery Mean Girls romp is not a euphemism for porn. So stop asking. As an added bonus for winning last week's lip sync, Trinity got to assign the roles. Right away, the queens got to reading so they could stake their claim on who they wanted to play. Of course, both Jinx and Vivi wanted to play the headmistress of Santa's School for Girls, but because Vivi had let Trinity pick her fabric first in the last challenge, well, she let Vivi have her first pick, and of course, she picked the headmistress, much to Jinx's chagrin, which was further tested when her second choice, the art teacher, Miss Toe, was also claimed by Monet Exchange, the one who laughed in Jinx's face at the prospect of her being blocked. That Monet Exchange. Monet knew Jinx would kill as Miss Toe, and as far as Roger was concerned, after that impromptu audition, Jinx won it. But because of her alliance with Monet, Trinity gave her the inside edge, and sadly for Jinx, the role. Personally, I bet Trinity wasn't looking forward to Jinx shining in yet another acting role either. Seriously, this could be the beginning of a Keep Jinx Down conspiracy, because when the dust settled and the roles had been assigned, Jinx was playing Holly. Who? Exactly. As the queens got ready for filming, Trinity took a moment to talk to Jinx about not giving her any of the roles she wanted, which I have to say, I thought was very big of her. What also impressed me was Jinx admitting that she did have to breathe through not getting any roles she wanted. Hey, you can't always get what you want. Share version. Hurl! But seriously, if anyone, including Trinity, doesn't think Jinx is going to turn it out no matter what part she's playing, they deserve to be blocked. Seriously. And then it was on to filming. You could tell there was some season 7 money kicking around because, well, they'd eschewed the green screens. There were actual sets this time. And directing the queens through the complexities of the script were RuPaul and award-winning director and writer Janixa Bravo. And can I just say, I want to be directed by Janixa Bravo in a movie too. The language she used to connect the queens' bodies to their words was eloquent. Although everyone enjoyed Janixa's direction, Evie was particularly happy to be speaking to someone who's fluent in hippie. I used to be fluent in hippie. Shuffling around in those little Jesus sandals. My only complaint was all that insight and direction was wasted on such a horrid script. I'm so serious. No offense, and don't get me wrong, even though I didn't particularly like the writing, watching the queens and Janixa tweak their performances through the process was fabulous. I'd watch that again. The Vivian and her old school Joan Crawford-like performance was an obvious standout because, well, Ru kept laughing through her takes. Seriously, can't do much better than that. Unless there was some pants peeing. Monet's gorgeous dreads were a hit with Ru as well, and once Janixa got her to lower her voice, so did her performance. Jada got pointed out by Janixa for being in character even when she wasn't the focus of the scene. Good for Jada. She's gonna win. Trinity took dumb blonde to a whole new level once she took the note of enjoying being dumb and ran with it. Seriously, with her mouth open like that, you can almost hear the ocean. Almost. Roger's edgy Scrooge was typecasting at its most poetic. I feel like she could have just stood there and ignored everyone and still been brilliant. Seriously. As for Jinx, she really didn't seem to get any direction. Could be a good thing. The next day, as the queens got ready for the runway, Trinity took it upon herself to remind the queens that there were 2 queens who hadn't been blocked, which put the attention on Jada and Roger. Well, mostly Jada because of her 3 stars, seriously. And then it was time for the main stage. Ru looked gorgeous in a textured asymmetrical gown. Michelle looked like she stopped in on her way to a ball in those puffy piqué sleeves, which I have to say I loved because Puffy Piqué was my drag queen name on my French exchange. Ross looked great in his green-sleeved baseball jacket, and joining them at the judges' table this week, the transcendent visionary and award-winning director, Janixa Bravo. Category is Nitty Nitty Bang Bang. I was excited for this category because, well, I knit. The Vivian kicked things off in this breathtaking, chunky knit gown. I couldn't give Vivi a Fingerdoo fast enough. I love a chunky knit because that was my drag queen name in high school. Next down the catwalk was my favorite look of the whole runway. Shea Coulee's Indabella Tribe inspired knitwear was breathtaking. This is art at its highest level and a huge hit with the judges. How could I not give it a Fingerdoo? Look at her! I really love Jinx Monsoon's Marlena Dietrich-inspired old Hollywood gown of gold open knitwear. First of all, Jinx gave us a breathtaking Marlena Dietrich impression. Second of all, Marlena Dietrich wore something exactly like this in real life. So kudos for Jinx. Way to overthink the category. My only concern was that compared to some of the looks this week, was Jinx being too subtle. Don't get me wrong. She wasn't being too subtle for a Fingerdoo, I'm just saying. Trinity the Tuck's lavender fantasy with matching Grumpkin was gorgeous on its own, but those painted leopard print touches, including her hair, that put this look over the top. Give that queen a Fingerdoo. Seriously. I mean, now I know why she wore that ugly hat in the workroom. I called Evie Oddly's runway Edward Knittenhands, and I just love Evie's take on this week's runway. It was fresh, it was fabulous, and totally Fingerdoo worthy. Good for Evie, seriously. Monet's round-the-way high-waisted booty shorts with crop puffy jacket and hair bow was delicious. I loved it, the judges loved it, Fingerdoo for Monet, seriously. Jada Essence Hall's nod to the big comfy couch got a better reaction from the judges once they realized Jada was serving lunette realness. Seriously. Who else would she be? Look at her. Another favorite of the judges seemed to be Roger's interpretation of C-3PO as a knitting grandma. Her words, not mine. My words were Fingerdoo! Look at that. And then it was time to watch Santa's School for Girls. Now, let's not get it twisted. This was not as much fun to watch as I was hoping. This has nothing to do with any of the performances. I just didn't find the script very good. Just me? The standouts were definitely Vivi as a headmistress, Nutmeg. She was flawless in old school Hollywood Joan Crawfordness. But to be honest, I felt like Vivi was in a different movie. Her pacing seemed out of sync with everyone else. I still would have watched that movie. Trinity was a standout as Joy. Her vapid personality was a scene stealer for sure, and Roger Scrooge was refreshing. But the silent killer for me was Jada Essence Hall, who almost stole every scene, whether she was the focus or not. She's queen. As for the rest of the queens, I enjoyed Jinx Monsoon, but her desire to stretch out her lines to make them as long as possible was distracting, to say the least. I don't know if Shea Coulee was playing her role too subtly or that the bigger personalities were just overshadowing her. Not that she did a bad job, but she just didn't stand out. I loved Monet as Miss Toe, but her part wasn't very memorable either, but it wasn't due to her lack of trying, I'll tell you what. In fact, no one was bad in this challenge, but some of the Queen's characters definitely got lost in the sauce. Evie Oddly. Back in the Untucked Lounge, the Queens stripped themselves of their warm knitwear before they passed out and cooled down with a beverage. They debated who was in the top with Vivi. Shea, Monet, and Roger seemed to be the frontrunners. While the Queens were knee-deep in a discussion about the pros and cons of big and small booties, we discovered a pink furry box that had the Queens pulling names from a bag and impersonating whatever queen they got. I'm not sure why they did this, but since Janixa Bravo didn't drop by for a visit, they have to fill the time somehow, I suppose. Everyone else has visited the Queens. I wonder why she didn't. Back on the main stage, Ru announced that the top 2 All-Stars of the week were the Vivian, who's surprised. Are you surprised? I know I'm not surprised. This week's second top All-Star was Roger, and so she should be. Both these queens did phenomenally. Speaking of phenomenal, they had to lip sync to Rick James' Super Freak. I don't know what it was. The outfit, the wig, the song, I don't know, but Roger killed this lip sync. She was hypnotic. I couldn't take my eyes off her. She was funny, she was fabulous, all at the same time, and didn't rely on any gimmicks or costume changes to achieve it. The Vivian, no offense, on the other hand, did a great job too, but to be honest, no one really was watching her. Even her attempt to draw focus by pouring a bottle of water over herself for a wet t-shirt moment backfired when she slipped in the water doing a cartwheel, bless herself. In the Viv's defense, she recovered beautifully, but even her licking Roger's armpit wasn't enough to put her over the edge. So when the music died, it was no surprise to me that Roger was this week's winner of 10 grand and the power to block a queen from getting a legendary legend star next week. Who did she pick, you ask? It was Jada. Finally, somebody slowed that secret assassin's roll. As well they should. So, what did you think? Did you like Santa's School for Girls? Were the right two queens on top this week? Did the right queen win the lip sync? How about Jada getting blocked? She is the only queen with 3 legendary legend stars, while Monet and Shea are still at the bottom with only 1 each. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and while you're down there, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and if you'd like to help support this channel, the links are in the description box down below. Until next time, miss me! Mwah! Seriously. I can't get over how good Roger was in that lip sync. She didn't even really do anything. It was just the perfect storm of elements. Her mood was right. Her look was right. That dress was stunning. Oh my God. There were a couple of angles where it looked like a one-arm jumpsuit, which is so 70s. It's so Rick James. I thought it was very smart of the girls to not let Jinx have the role she wanted. It was tough on Jinx, no doubt about it. But oh, that was clever. Yeah, don't give people too much rope. Seriously.